Howdy folks. Sorry for the shaky video here, small camera and walking through snow. Just wanted to take you out to the greenhouse and give you a quick update. As you can see, we had a lot of snow down here. It's compressed actually because it's been raining overnight. We had a bit of a freak weather. You can see on the side of the house just how much snow we've got. For perspective, right over there you can see the corner peak of the coop is my shoulder height, so that's about 5 feet, 1.7 meters. That snow drift there is actually taller than I am, and I'm 6 foot tall, about 1.9 meter. So it took almost 6 hours actually with my son and myself yesterday with the snowblower to shovel out, cut a path wide enough we could get into the greenhouse. It's been almost a week, but that's okay. The point of this video, here you can see the amount of snow piled up along the side. The corner of the edge wall there you can see is about, well, it's a 4x8 sheet of board, so that's 4 feet at least. And the other side, the snow is even deeper, the entire. For perspective, the fence posts you see peeking up out of the snow there about 5 feet tall, so there's not a lot left over here that we can. There's 4 to 5 feet of snow over everything. So yeah, so go inside and talk about the greenhouse a little bit because well, it's still standing. Alright, so here we are inside. This is the south set of windows. Yeah, not a lot of sun coming in this way. So yeah, the roof, we get plenty of sunlight in through the roof, but the real, middle of the afternoon solar max is getting completely blocked by the snow. And over here you can see that's my my solar collector. Nothing more complicated than some cardboard that's been painted flat black, so all the sunlight coming in gets something to hit and warm up, generate some warm air. Seems to be working okay. And yeah, it's above zero in the greenhouse today, right now. It's about it's +1, +2 outdoors, and in the greenhouse it's +2. So that's about expected. Nothing new there. No direct sunlight, so we're not going to pick up any solar heating that way. But a friend of mine, shout out to Mathew Jenkins, suggested I put a video up talking about the fact that well, in spite of the ridiculous weather we've had, the greenhouse is still standing. For perspective, we've had, well, at the beginning of this week, we had gale to hurricane force winds that ran for about 48 hours, and with it brought between 1 meter to 1.5 meters. That's 3 to 4 feet of snow in that 48-hour period. Bridges, and there were a couple buildings that collapsed throughout the area. We had a rink roof come down. We had well, school's been closed for a week because it's taken so long to clean up, and yet my little greenhouse here that I put together is still here. So what I wanted to do is just sort of take a minute and show you what I did, and why I did it, and hopefully somebody else out there can find some value to this. Please excuse the rooster. He likes to compete with me when he knows I've got my video camera on, so that's what you're hearing in the background. There are a couple places where some snow drifted in, got driven through a couple of open spots. So that's fine. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit in here. I'm going to do that after I record. You can see over here there's snow on the roof. I'll beat that off with a broom shortly, try and lighten things up. But even all that said, the thickness of the snow over here is sort of a double-edged sword. It's blocking light coming in, but then it also provides an awful lot of actual insulation. It's cold, but heat can't migrate out through that. So it's a decent insulator. It's basically mostly air. So why, if when things like barn roof or a curling rink roof come down and this is still here, the design actually is 4 or 5 different ideas rolled into one that I've picked up from various YouTube videos and blogs online. And so there's a couple things. The first one, and I talked about this in a prior video, is that the walls are actually modular pieces. Each pair of here and here, for example, of 4x4s is reclaimed pallet wood, and then those are joined down at the bottom, across the bottom. They're sitting on a foot plate. You can see it there, sticking out a little bit more clearly over here. And so there's two posts. This post is sitting on the half on and half off of one piece of 2x6. This post is sitting in the middle of the 2x6, and then this post is actually part of the second frame. So it's two pieces with a long bar underneath. And the idea is you can just build them quickly in the basement, walk them out here, slide them together, nail the butts together, stand the whole wall up. And it went up pretty quickly. They're attached across the top, as you can see, by a long finished piece of new wood, just to give some total strength. And then they're cross-membered from one wall to the other to give lots of width, strength. And then I've got a riser that goes up to a top piece. The top piece has got holes drilled in it, allowing the roof truss, if you want to use that term, to pass through it. That's just a piece of 3/4 inch, 20 millimeter, I think it is. No, that's actually 1/2 inch. My apologies. It's 1/2 inch, 12 millimeter. Gray conduit for just running electrical wire through. And so what I did was I took 1 and 1/3 pieces, and so you can see, for example, there's a joint there. 1 and 1/3 pieces happens over the span of the 3-meter gap, 10-foot gap between left to right posts, gives a very nice arc. And so the tops of each post are drilled in at a 45-degree angle, and the piece of conduit's shoved into that, so that gives a self-supporting archway, and then it goes up across the through the hole at the top, and that prevents the pieces from moving left to right. Over top of that, if you can see here, you can see there's a lattice mesh. That's actually snow fence. It's a dark color, intentionally, so that any sunlight that it picks up actually warms up and helps melt some of the snow off the roof automatically, or that was the hope. But the mesh means that the plastic cover over top of it, which is 3 plies of 6mm standard ceiling plastic, the real load is actually being carried by the mesh. The mesh is tied to the conduit pieces using zip ties or zap straps, whatever you want to call them. And so the entire roof essentially becomes one large object. And so there's no single point that can get it pushed down, because to do that, for the snow to push the plastic in, the snow would have to push the mesh in, and to push the mesh in, it would have to pull 2 of the pieces of conduit pipe together, and those are anchored in 3 places, so they can't move together. And so it creates a relatively rigid roof that allows, but still has enough flexibility that if the wind blows, there's a little bit of flutter and play in the roofing material. So I'll try and get a couple of pictures and add them to the end of this, some close-ups and stuff, but it gives you an idea. It seems to have weathered okay, as I say. There's been no wind damage. We've had, this winter, we've probably had 4 nor'easters roll through at this point, each of them with gale to hurricane force winds. You know, pretty energetic sort of winter. We've had an awful lot of snow come down in very short periods of time, with accumulations, but because of the height of the roof, the arc of the roof, most of that snow is just either slid off, or you only get little patchy cakes, like you can see here. There's a little bit there and here, but 2 taps of a broom, it just comes right off. And as soon as I light the rocket stove up in here, which I haven't done yet, the warmth of the rocket stove is more than enough to melt everything off and clean the roof up. It's taken some getting used to. I'm not used to building things. I'm a professional computer guy by trade. I tend to work with keyboards, not with hammers and nails. But I got some advice from housemate and next door neighbor who kept dropped in to see how I was doing and making suggestions. And it's in combination with the ideas I saw on, like I say, on a couple of YouTube videos, which I can't find anymore. Otherwise, I didn't just include the links here so you can go watch the original source material. But the design seems to work, and it's infinitely scalable, for lack of a better way of putting it. If I wanted to double the width of the greenhouse, all I'd need would be, slightly longer pieces of conduit and slightly more of slightly more of everything, and possibly a center set of support posts, that actually floor to ground. But I build them the same way, using the modular the U frames, and then just tack the whole thing together in place. So all in all, I'm pretty pleased with it. First time building anything like this. I'm not used to having to worry about things like structural loads and worrying about things like windstorms and that sort of thing. That's just nothing that's part of my experience. So yeah, all in all, I hope someone finds the video useful. If you got questions about the design or you want close-ups about any particular point of it, do let me know. I can take some pictures and post them. And yeah, so I'm gonna get the rocket stove lit up here and chase some of this snow out of here. Take care of yourselves. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.